Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Disability Matters. I'm Morgan Spicer, Self Advocate Coordinator with People First of West Virginia. I have learned over the years the importance of self advocacy and how much of an impact it makes to have your story out there. Disability Matters is designed to cover a wide range of topics that will inform you, inspire you, and encourage you to strengthen your advocacy journey. Now, we'll do this by offering a variety of guests as well as interviews with advocates around the state. It's not just legislative advocacy, it's so much more. So, this month, we had the chance to speak to Cydney Roush. Living in Davisville, West Virginia, she works at SW Resources as a warehouse assistant. Let's get to that interview now. Today, we're interviewing Cydney Roush. Cydney, thank you for joining us and welcome to Disability Matters.
You're welcome.
All right, it's good to have you. So, what does self advocacy mean to you?
Speaking up for others who cannot speak for themselves, because it means to me that I'm making a difference. If I can make one difference, then that's enough for me so that I feel like I'm making a difference when I lay my head down at night.
It's all about making that, good impression on people that, you can, you're the kind of person that can be, you can be trusted and you can, know that you made a difference. And that's how I feel with my job. I feel like if I made a difference in somebody's life, then my day is done. So where are we right now, Cydney?
You're in my house. I have staff that take care of me 24/7. The only time that I don't have staff is when I'm at work.
So how did that happen? How did the whole journey about living, having a place of your own and having staff here, how did that come about?
I was in a relationship with a guy who wanted to see me more, but I always had a dream of living on my own because I knew I could do it. I just had to put more effort into it.
And how did you know? Like, how did you know
that I wanted to live on my own?
Yes.
Because my mom had always given me the independence that I wanted, never treated me any different than anybody else.
Right. Perfect. And that's, and living on your own is quite a challenge. I've moved several times myself and, there's a lot to take in when you move into a place. You got a lot to think about. So how was your first night in your own place?
Very freeing, I got to have my own opinion. I got to make my own decisions, which I've made my own decision. I hadn't made my own decisions before, but now it was completely up to me and what I wanted to do with my life.
Which is the way it should be. How long did it take for the whole process, to happen to where you are now?
Mentally, I had to get into the headspace where I was happy where I was at in my life. But some of the credit I do have to give to my staff for making me feel like I'm not a burden on them. There is times in my life where I have felt like I was a burden on other people, but then they remind me that I'm not. So if anybody has an issue with feeling like they're a burden, you are truly not. You're just like anybody else. You need to have more accommodations.
Definitely agree with that one. So tell us about your job and some of the things that you face in the workplace.
There is things that are not accessible, like doorways. So I have to kind of work around that.
Mm-hmm.
I work in a warehouse. Um, and I have for almost 4 years.
And do you like it? I mean, you started at the bottom and worked your way up, right?
Yeah.
That was something that you could be proud of, is that you worked hard, and they saw your work ethic and moved you to something you felt comfortable doing.
Yeah. I got tops on the job. I I started there after I graduated, but a couple years ago, I got tops on the job. Um, and that was the first time I've ever gotten like an award for a job based on how hard I work. Now, the work ethic that I have is credible to my parents.
And it's, you have that, instilled into you the value of hard work and how big it is to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely. So what would you say to people that aren't as driven as you are to get out there and work in the community? What would you say to them?
Surround yourself with positive people in your life. Don't get down on yourself if you're having a hard time getting there, because I know that it's taken me a long time to get where I am, but that's only because I had positive people around me who always cared about my success.
That's great to have, is that you have a circle of friends and a circle of support that supports you and, encourages you on those days when you get down. It's good to have people like that.
Yeah.
So, you definitely spread a lot of encouragement, but you're not the kind where you see people like, oh, I look up to Cydney so much. She's a role model. She's special. You don't see it that way, do you? You just see yourself as a normal individual who works hard.
I look at myself as a normal person because that's how I was raised. Granted, there may be some adaptations that I need to make, but I've had to do that my whole entire life. It's no different to me than if you got up one morning and you put your clothes on, or you brushed your teeth, or it's a normal routine. It's a normal anything that you do in your life. I do the same exact thing, just more. I need to make more adaptations to make it accessible for me to do it.
So everyone seems to think that you're with your disability, that you're suffering, but you definitely don't see yourself as that, do you?
No, because I was not raised that way. I was raised to be independent, speak for what I wanted, be treated like everybody else, and that's what everybody else wants. But you got to get to the point where if you don't feel like you're being accepted, if you feel like you're being put down, speak up for yourself, because that's all that matters in the end.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So how do you use your self-advocacy skills in the workplace?
When I see people who are not being treated nicely, or they feel like, okay, I just need somebody to understand me.
So when you see people like that, what do you do? Do you just go up? Do you talk to them? Do you help make them feel included and welcome?
Yes, I that is my goal, is trying to make everybody feel like they're accepted. Because there's some places where I don't feel accepted. Or if there's a place where there's a disability issue, like an accessibility issue, it's frustrating, but I try to look at it as I use my disability as a drive to make this world a better place and different than we left it.
Absolutely. And, some days that's all someone needs, is that, just that push or that word of encouragement. Sometimes that's all we need. I see some yarn right here. Is that one of the things you like to do in your spare time?
Yes, I make pot holders. That thing there that you see, this loom thing, it makes you can make paw holders out of it. You can with the paw holder you can also use it as a coaster.
Wow. And you made that?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
It took me, months to make this one. Takes quite a bit of time. Thank you.
That looks awesome. I like that. So what other things do you like to do in your spare time?
I like to write in my journal, talk to my staff, listen to music. I'm just your average adult.
Okay, cool. Got any favorite shows you like to watch?
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
I like to watch SVU sometimes. Or sometimes I'll watch YouTube on occasion.
Yeah, I love watching it. That was something that my mom used to watch, is a lot of SVU, and that's what we do at home. Like sometimes we'll just sit and watch YouTube videos. My brother will just, that's our day, that's our night for us.
Yeah.
It seems like everything here is working out for you. Where do you see yourself like in the future? Like maybe like a couple years from now.
I see myself married. I see myself. I want to do my own. I want to be my own boss. I want to start an accessible golfing business.
Wow. So like mini golf?
Yeah.
Oh, I love mini golf. Haven't played it in a while, but that would be great. And have you done like some like research into it? Like, you know, what all the requirements are, what you'd have to do?
Yes.
Wow. That is awesome. I would definitely love to play some mini golf again sometime. So, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not that I can think of. Do you have any more questions?
Well, usually one of the questions that I ask is, you know, what would you say to somebody if they were having issues with being like, you know, advocating for their rights, or, you know, having, you know, issues at home and they want to advocate? What would you say to somebody if that was, you know, if they were going through that and you could offer like a word of encouragement?
Find strength in yourself. Surround yourself with people. If you can't speak up for yourself, find people that can help you with that.
Yes, nothing beats that circle of support. And, you know, I'm big on the whole strength in numbers aspect. So, yeah, what would you offer, like advice would you offer to someone who doesn't have that circle of support, that's needing those resources? What would you say, and what would you do to help them?
Find the people who you really trust and who you really want around you to help you find those resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the whole thing with, you know, having friends, is that they're supposed to support you, you know, and support your journey, support everything that you do. So absolutely. So I'm a firm believer in voting. I mean, voting is a great form of self-advocacy. So have you voted before? Okay. So what would you say to individuals that are kind of nervous to vote? Maybe it's their first time, or maybe they're like, my voice isn't going to matter. What would you say to them?
I would say, have somebody go with you when you go to vote. Have somebody go with you that you feel comfortable with being around. Because the person that you're around, the people that you are around, that's when the people who are going to give you the encouragement to be your best self.
Great. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Cydney. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for inviting us to your house. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Cydney, for joining us this month. Don't forget, if you want to be featured on an episode of Disability Matters, or have a subject you would like discussed in a future episode, you can reach out to me by calling the ARC at 304-422-3151, extension 129, or you can email me at morgan.spicer@thearcmov.org. I would love to have you on a future episode. With that, we're out of time for this month's episode. Please join us next time for another episode of Disability Matters. where we are advocating, educating, and celebrating the potential within you. See you next time.